Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having breakfast at Ruby's on this day. This is a weekly podcast in which me, Project Ruby, brings along a couple of guests and we just chit chat. Just like bringing a couple of your friends over for breakfast, having a good, nice conversation about anything and everything. If you're watching this on Twitch, you actually get to ask us questions, interact with us while we record this live. But this actually goes up on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the wonderful and wondrous places where you can consume podcasts, or at least most of them. I don't know how distributing works. But anyway, to my left, I have the wonderful Go JG. Hi.
Oh my God. Hi. How's it going?
It's the year moving for me.
Well, thank you. I am so happy to be here.
Yay.
I am very excited. Listen, I cannot be blamed for this. Sin started this.
Yeah. Y'all did that to yourselves.
I am under attack at this moment.
Under attack, you started this.
Listen, y'all are both attacking me with your cuteness, and I never asked for this, and I'm thankful, but I'm also shaking and quaking, so there's that.
Pat, thank you so much for inviting me out. I love this sort of thing. I'm excited to get to chat with y'all. If y'all don't know me, hi, my name is Jess. My pronouns are she and they. I'm a queer Canadian variety streamer, content producer, show streamer, manager thing person who does stuff and also plays games sometimes, I guess, and likes to wear silly hats and maybe likes deer things.
That's all the dear things. I love that. To my right, we have the wonderful Synxiec. Hi.
I am your resident dragon and apparently the instigator of this whole cute attack that you're all suffering at this moment. I regret nothing. I am a general variety caster, although most of the things that I fall into are story-based games and or multiplayer games because we like having fun with friends. My pronouns are he, him. I am also just a little bit to the right of the current polar vortex happening out here. So we're a smooth 40 degrees Fahrenheit at this moment and very much indoors, and I plan on staying that way.
Oh my God. As if,
a
pandemic wasn't enough, suddenly the weather said, you know what, let me give you another reason to stay indoors.
Well, y'all
Seriously.
Been out here talking about how y'all haven't had a real winter in a while, so we gave you one. Why are y'all upset about it?
Well,
this is why I was very clear in my Christmas wishes. I do not want to see snow in this state. I do not.
Aw. I feel kind of bad because I'm always like, oh, I've never seen snow. Like, it just looks so beautiful. And then everyone who actually experiences is like, I mean, like maybe for a day or like an hour. But yeah.
I'm probably one of the people that I love snow. I love snow, but winter's my favorite season. And snow is one of my favorite things. I genuinely feel like when it snows very nicely, it looks magical and it makes everything it coats everything in this layer of beauty. And it's the second you have to drive in it. It's the second you have to slush through the slushy part. It's the second it's not just snow anymore that I totally agree and understand the much hatred of it. But also it's pretty. It's so pretty though.
So I grew up in New York for my younger years. So I was born in Brooklyn, and when we got snow there, it was one of those. Snow is great and wonderful, but also we have things like road salt and street sweepers and things to clear the road and stuff. But in places where I live now, I'm in Georgia, they don't have the infrastructure with this because it's so rare that it happens. So when you don't have that infrastructure, and then it's kind of even 2 inches of snow, they did a whole CNN report on this. It was ages ago, back when I was in college, we got like enough snow here that it shut down the whole interstate, and it ended up on international CNN news because people were entirely like, I have no idea what to do. They were just like, we're just gonna leave this
Oh my
whole school
God.
bus in the middle of the road. Restaurants started giving out free water and food and blankets to anybody nearby, and I'm just like, y'all, it is a whole inch and a half of snow. There are people who literally are like they're driving down the road and are literally being buried in real time in Buffalo, New York. Yeah, like we just don't have the infrastructure for this
Oh
stuff.
my
So when people are
God.
just like, I really want snow, and I'm like, no, you really don't.
Noted.
Listen, if we could have it, like it's exactly what you're describing. Like if we could have it on a set schedule, we'd be good. Cause like you could plan for it, you
Well,
could
that's
plan around
valid.
it. Everyone would be like good to go. Like, cause I'm Canadian and I live in the Toronto area, which is like mid to low snow for Canada. And then I've lived in Nova Scotia, which is like literally 3 feet of snow. We're talking here. My like little cousins used to climb up on the roof and then jump into these mounds of snow because that's how much snow, like it was above their heads.
Oh my
That was not
God.
that was not uncommon. And it's a matter of like prep for it or not. It's a matter of like exactly like you said, it's infrastructure or not. But like if we can just listen, we're figuring a lot of stuff out right now. If we can get to the point of figuring out like a set snow schedule, I think we'd all be really, really good and we'd be really happy. We could plan for it on some nice snow days.
Yes.
Next step.
Can you just, Mr. Weather, Mrs. Weather, can you just give us a
Yeah.
warning beforehand? A letter in advance, like a couple weeks maybe. That would be great. But yeah, it's usually not the case, is it? um,
Or
since this is
where they're just
breakfast,
showing up being rude and disrespectful, and I hate it.
yeah. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This is actually funny. I was thinking about this. It's usually right before you go to bed. You get all the ideas, and I was like, my show is called Breakfast at Ruby's, and I literally never ask people like what their breakfast of choice is, like what their go-to breakfast is. So y'all are gonna be. This is episode 41. You're the first guests who are gonna hear that question.
Well then,
The first real breakfast episode. You're here for it.
Imagine that. Like, I've had episodes where I was having breakfast. I've had episodes where it was breakfast time for some people. And I never asked. As far as I remember. Listen, I have the worst memory. But yeah, what is your go-to breakfast?
question. I'm loving this. For breakfast today, I have had coffee and this one stick of Pocky because breakfast, I don't happen upon breakfast incredibly often. That being said, I will tell you what my favorite breakfast food is.
Yes.
My favorite breakfast food is eggs Benedict. It is so extra, but it's so good.
Ooh.
It's so good.
Can't go wrong with eggs. I love a good like an egg sandwich, like scrambled eggs, wonderful, lovely, stunning. My go-to these days has been like a latte and like either like a ham and cheese sandwich, usually on my panini press if I have the time. Listen, today I did not have the time. I was just having my peanut butter and jelly sandwich with my latte as we were setting up. It was one of those days. It's also, 5 p.m., almost 6 p.m. So my sleeping schedule is also another issue. But it's fine. What about you, Jess? What's your go-to?
I feel like I get in trouble for this a lot. I don't like breakfast food. Like I am
Honey,
not.
that's valid
Yeah.
though.
I never really like want breakfast food. So my favorite breakfast is leftover pizza. Like leftover,
Ooh.
like
You know
you know what I mean?
something? Leftover pizza when the ingredients have a little bit of time to settle in before you reheat them. I see you.
Yeah, yeah. But if I am gonna have like breakfast food, like quote unquote, breakfast food, it's basically exactly what you said, Sin. But I don't eat meat, so it's eggs Florentine, where they got the spinach underneath instead of like the meat and stuff. Like that's perfect. Like that I can handle. It's definitely a special occasion thing,
Yeah.
but it's very nice when it happens.
I love that.
Can we discuss struggle breakfast for a minute? So, because Ruby talked about a thing that I have run into a little bit more often than I want to admit, which is the amount of breakfast I want, like the level of extra is like up here, but the level of effort that I can apply to make that is like down here somewhere.
Right.
Let
Yeah.
me tell y'all about how Uncrustables have saved my life. They're just like, pull this thing out of the freezer and leave it on the desk until you're ready to eat it. What? Just leave it right there on the desk until you're ready to eat it.
I love that.
Uncrustables.
Yeah.
Uncrustables. Period. It is just like it's like no effort food. And I have had to learn, especially with situations in the world being the way that they are, that preparing things for the moments that you're just like, I do not have the time or the energy to make the effort to make things
Right.
is like a game changer. You have to do that.
Yeah, it's such a journey because yeah, and usually it's like the things that are worse for you, like the prepackaged kind of stuff that you're just like, you know what? It's one of those days. It's just I'm just gonna take something out of a package and I'm just gonna eat that and it's gonna be it.
Sometimes that's, you know what? Sometimes that's an accomplishment. Sometimes that's an achievement. Because most mornings, my breakfast is a cup of coffee. Like,
Listen,
that's it.
same.
Listen,
Also
according to
me
Spiritfarer
today.
rules, that's a whole meal for a day. But you were saying something, Sid. Sorry. We love Discord.
Here and agreeing. Just agreeing at this point.
I love that. And listen, Jess, you're not alone. I see folks in chat saying they also don't like breakfast food, so you're not alone. It may be, a controversial take, but I also listen, I'm with Space Valkyries in chat. I will gladly take your breakfast foods. I'm that kind of
Perfect.
friend that like instead of being like, ew, how dare you not like that? I'm like, more for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the deal I like. If friends want to take the breakfast food and if I can skip on to lunch, we're set. Like let's make a deal. Let's trade.
I love that. That's 100% my go-to. Like a friend of mine was like, "Oh, I don't like cake." I'm like, "Listen, more for me. If we happen to be in a birthday scenario, you'll get all the, I'll give you all the salty stuff and you'll give me your piece of cake. We have a deal, extra cake for me, extra salty stuff for you. Perfect."
That's the thing that I've seen floating around on the internet about having a pickle friend.
It's me.
Not
I'm
the
the pickle friend. I'll do that.
Also me. Also
Yeah.
me.
Okay,
Like
good.
literally just the yes, thank you. I will go ahead and take them in I will take your pickles in all denominations that you will serve them. Like the whole dill in slices, butter
Yeah.
or not, sweet or
Yeah.
not, kosher or not. Just go ahead and just slide me the pickles. You don't even have to
Yeah.
give me any explanation, no context, just a plate of pickles.
Uh-huh.
No
Yeah.
context. Someone
Yeah.
just shows up to your doorstep like, here. Good morning.
Good morning and thank you.
Perfect. Love it.
I love that. Listen, I'm glad we're talking about food. I love food. Food is wonderful. It's so lovely. So Jess, your favorite food is clearly not breakfast. So what is your favorite type of food?
I'm okay. Spoiler alert. I'm also incredibly indecisive.
Me.
I can't be asked to like nail down one favorite thing. Like I have like a favorite, simple comfort food. I have like a favorite, like if I'm ordering in food, I love probably some of my top favorite foods I'm gonna say is like sushi, hands down, which is like one of the only times like I don't really eat meat, but I will eat seafood for sushi. Comfy home food is like just a simple pasta dish.
Ooh.
And then like the other comfort warm, something really, really spicy that's gonna make my eyes and nose drip, like a curry, like a really hot curry. It has to be like boiling hot. I have to be crying or it is not hot enough.
Damn, okay.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I'm trying to think of like for each category because I love that.
Yeah.
Making decisions,
Yeah.
that's too much. Overrated if you ask me.
Yes.
That's why I randomize
Ooh, I got
everything on
something
my
I have to
streams.
I'll tell about that later.
But okay, so for comfort food, something easy at home, I agree. You can't go wrong with like pasta. Or like I like having like those like pre-made like lasagna stuff that you just like pop in the oven or microwave or something like that. Like that's great comfort food. Anything Italian for me, pizza, yeah, any pasta, anything. Um Something to like order over here, like apparently there's like different food regulations as far as fast food. So some of y'all are probably gonna find this disgusting, but my go-to is usually like a McDonald's situation or like a Pizza Hut. And I know I can hear the Americans typing already. I hear the keyboards clicking and clacking in the
Okay, hold on. If
distance.
the keyboards are clicking and clacking, it's probably because one of my roommates is also ordering McDonald's at this very moment. Okay, we do not moralize food in this house, right? Y'all are just over here trying to sustain your corporeal form.
Yes.
Eat things, eat things that you like.
Yeah.
Period.
Don't villainize people for eating food, because that's just in general, that's many levels of issue right there. So
Yes. I For those of you who were just listening to it, I was waving my arms. I was over here aggressively agreeing. Because people like sometimes you just mention like McDonald's, for example, and you just see like three or four people being like, "Yeah, that's nasty," whatever, and you're like, first of all, maybe some places have different food regulations, and so things actually taste like things, that like food instead of, what you would claim to be plastic or whatever. Also, like Sid said, what if the person just likes it? What if
Mhm.
that's all they can
Mhm.
afford? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, can you just like not can you
Yeah.
just like
I
like
also
let
feel like
people enjoy things?
it's really important for all the audio podcast listeners. Sin brought out the fan, so that's how
Yes.
you know this was
Mhm.
serious.
Again,
Listen,
aggressive agreement.
I love that. I love that so much. You have to, you have to, especially with food. Such an important and dear, topic to my heart. But yeah, what about you, Sin? What would be your specific things for each category?
What categories are we looking for here?
So
there was
I
like
think it
a
was comfort
comfort. There was like
food
a order in.
and
Okay, so
something else which we can't remember because it happened like 2 minutes ago, and
That's too long ago in the past. Are you kidding?
So my favorite comfort food, whenever I can get it, are like chicken tenders. Just yes, nice, warm, crispy chicken tenders. Specifically from Raising Cane's, if you live in the United States and you know where that is. Like all day, every day, just immediately at my house. If I had an endless supply of it, I would be there. And if it were relatively safe for me to just go outside and get some whenever I wanted to, I would be there in the drive-through at all times.
yes.
Um, Now, as far as ordering out food goes, there is this um, place that makes Japanese food. My favorite thing to get from there is like a small order of chicken katsu and like takoyaki because
Ooh, that sounds so good.
I was waiting for you to say takoyaki. I was literally.
squid balls. Listen, like they're just good. They're yummy.
Yeah.
Okay, like period.
Yep.
Um, However, that's only because there was a Korean place here, and you know they don't exist here anymore. The
Oh,
nearest one is like 60 miles away. But my absolute favorite thing is Korean fried chicken. If you have not had Korean fried chicken,
I've heard so many
it's
good things
it's
about it. Oh,
it's the moisture, the texture, and the flavoring. Like it's just such a wonderful thing. But I have to drive an hour to get it, and I don't have a car, so that's not a thing I do.
yeah.
But I see here that there's some recognition for the Korean fried chicken brand, and I'm here for it.
Yes, we love to see it. We see each other, we recognize, we have the taste, we have the
Mhm.
compassion. I love that. Oh my god. Now I'm just going to be hungry for the rest of the podcast. So
Yeah.
I kind of did
You
that to
see,
myself. Listen.
see, this is where I was just kind of like, listen, I'm gonna bring this pocket up here.
Yeah. You
Oh,
were so prepared. Like you
mhm.
were the most prepared of all of us. Listen.
Right? Like, listen, a snack, a cute outfit, everything
Yeah, came
prepared.
so
Listen.
ready. Like
And for all of those who are listening at this moment, have you met these two? They're amazing. I'm just like, oh my god, I get to talk to them. I have to make a good
oh,
first impression, so they'll bring me back.
I just love that it's all of us just being like, these two are amazing.
yeah, yeah. Listen.
Ugh.
So excited that I even got to and got the invite to come
Oh
here
my
and hang out
god.
and chat with these two. I'm like, what? This my whole day. My whole day. This right here.
Y'all. I just randomly at like 3 a.m. feel a little bit of courage and I'm like, okay, let me message a couple people, see if they're interested.
Not 3 a.m. I'm not starting at 3 a.m.
Yeah. I'm like hoping that some of them are asleep so that they, it takes them like, I go to bed and I don't think about it and then I wake up to a message. Or if I don't, then it's totally fine. I just tell myself like, oh, maybe they're just asleep. Maybe they go to bed early. Or you have a case where
It's
you
true.
message someone at 3 a.m. thinking that they're in bed and then they immediately reply and you're like, oh.
That's the best one. That's
Sure, I'd love to. Wait, why are you awake right now? But also, thank you.
Yay, I'm
That
so
literally
excited you
happened
responded, but
yesterday
what
to
are you
me.
doing?
I was gonna go off on this person and be like, why are you awake? But they're the same time zone as me. And I was like, let me not, because I'm also awake. So, I don't want to start a feud.
It's just like, listen, if you don't judge me, I won't judge you. But I'll see you tomorrow.
Right? Listen, it's fine.
It was the self call out for me.
Listen, something. If you can't self call out, you can't call out someone else. Something. Yeah. Um.
So on the note of self callouts, I have a question for y'all, which
Ooh, yes.
is kind of a thing that I have been rolling with that I think is kind of relevant to almost everybody here. So, memes. You know those memes that you see where it's kind of like, I really do not appreciate being attacked like this. I did not to be perceived in the way that you are causing me to be perceived. And I would rather you not. Please immediately delete this post and never speak of it again.
Yes.
Um, so I
Oh.
feel like I want to ask y'all about this, but for me, there have been two things that come up that every time I see a meme about them, I look at this and I'm like, oh wait, oh no, they're talking about me.
Mm-hmm.
No, I need you to not. There was one where it's kind of like someone going, I'm going to be super productive today. And it was set in the background to a Britney Spears song. It was the Oops, I Did It Again song, except for
Oh,
it just said oops and nothing else. Like all the
yep.
lyrics were oops. And so, kind of like, I'm going to be productive, random nap, existential dread. And I'm just like,
I.
I know
Oh.
exactly the one you're talking about. And it's just
it's
like,
kind of
oops,
like,
oops, oops.
yes. And I'm just like, ha ha ha, wait, no, no, I didn't ask you to make this video about me. I would appreciate it if you would have at least sent me a DM or something
Yeah.
before you
Right?
did all of this.
The
It's like, excuse
subtweet
me.
of it all.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Please,
So,
please warn me so I can put some knee pads on before you drag me through the mud. Like, excuse.
Not the
okay.
knee pad.
So, like, what memes are those for y'all that you see them and you're just like,
Oh
okay, I'm
my
gonna hit you back with that
god.
reply that says, I'm in this meme and I don't like it.
I immediately thought of one the second you started talking about this topic because it's actually something that, yeah, I've just got to go into it. Any and every ADHD meme, I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh, no, no, no.
Like, the more I see them, especially if it's a thread, I'm like, let me just, like, keep this in mind and then, like, bookmark a therapist, and then whenever I have the chance, I'll get a diagnosis.
Oh my God.
It's
Yeah.
like a personal attack.
Ruby,
Yeah.
Ruby, I need you to stop issuing these personal attacks against my life, okay? I need you to not.
Yeah, it's like every single time I'm like, oh yeah, surely, I don't have a diagnosis. Let me just, peek into someone else's reality for a second. And then I'm like, that is my reality. I'm peeking into my own reality and I feel attacked and I hate it here.
Yeah.
Are there
Yep.
such
Yep.
memes for you, Jazz?
Yeah. I mean, all of these are very good. I'm gonna say any of the goodness, any of the imposter syndrome ones, or the ones where it's
Ooh.
like any of the ones where it's like, a 4-panel cartoon of someone yelling at their friend, like, you're beautiful, you're amazing, everything you're doing is valid, you're so good. And then the final panel is like, but not me though. Not but but not
Now I'm personally attacked. It's
And I do not wish to be perceived at this moment.
Yeah, somehow we managed to pick memes that personally attacked all of us, so we love that. I'm like, not only I relate, but you're also gonna relate, and we're all gonna suffer basically.
It's very much a thing that I've been asking more questions about for myself, because it's like, if I keep seeing these things and they keep speaking to me, like, these people have my whole government name, my socials, and my mailing address, right? If this is what y'all keep calling me, like, is this something maybe that I should look into? And I'm
Right.
like, because I'm like, it's every single one that y'all post. Like, especially when, um, you know, as a kid, it would just be like, maybe I'm just being really indecisive about things and I'm not exactly sure what I want.
Right.
Versus, I was trying to like, one day I was sitting at the desk and I was talking to some friends on Discord, and I'm like, I don't know if I want a hamburger or some chicken. This was at lunchtime, so
Oh
like
no.
12:30 or something like that.
Oh no.
So at 10:30, when I finally just ordered a pizza,
I
like, it was like, it's like, maybe some of these memes apply to me. Maybe. Because it's not like
Right.
this just happens on occasion. It's kind of like, I either know exactly what I want or I do not eat anything because I have spent 8 hours going, but do I want either? And then I order none of these things. And I'm like,
Uh,
I mean, is it that I feel personally attacked, or are they trying to call me in at this point? It's like, dear stranger on the internet who I have not met, I'm just trying to tell you, come in the house. Come in the house. It's okay.
But Sin, the call was coming from inside the house.
I feel that. I'm like, so you mean to tell me it's not normal to stare at your Netflix watch list for 3 hours and not watch anything and then go to YouTube instead and just watch something on your recommended? Okay, good
Yeah,
to know.
just, like, it's that sort of thing. It's also like, this the last couple of weeks have been questions about two particular things. One of them being, you know, the longer I have spent being in spaces like this one, um, like, just queer gaming spaces in general, places like the Rainbow Arcade, being in the company of lovely people like yourselves, have been like, there's all of this expression for all of these different spectrums of what being in that means. And now that I've had a time to take a proper look at it, also because I haven't been outside because you're supposed to be staying in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Dramatic look at camera.
Right, we stare.
Audio podcast, we are staring at you right now.
We judge.
Right? as that's happening, I'm also like looking at like different patterns that I have for how I interact with people and things and going,
Hmm.
wow, this tracks though.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no. Like have you ever just had a moment of being like, I wonder if, or things like, I noticed that I really don't care about these things. Or I care about these things or a lot, or all of this stuff speaks to me. It was me going, I really did without meaning to nearly make my entire like rearrange my entire wardrobe so that it's all colors of like the non-binary flag without intending to. And I'm just like,
I.
you know, should I be not concerned, but should I just like take a closer look at this? Or like, is
Right.
am I actually ace? No, like let me think about this for a second. Like that has been actually that particular thing has been the thing. And I
Ooh.
suppose there's also like I feel like, there's that drive to kind of like find the particular thing that fits you and to just like cling on to it for life. And, there's something to be said about the fact that there are questions that continue. The
Mm-hmm.
more that you're there and the longer you get comfortable with it, and you're able to ask yourself about those things that you like or that you don't, you might also find out, I have a question about this, or this like thing that I picked up or that I was attached to doesn't fit me as well as it used to. And I
Mm-hmm.
can let that go and be other things. And I have the space to do that. And
Yeah.
that's been a wonderful thing for the last 2 weeks. But it's also like, oh no, I have questions and I have a lot more questions. And the more questions I ask, the more that people around me are like, mm-hmm. I am very
Oh.
familiar with this journey, and you are at the end of season one. You're at the end of season
Oh.
one. The big bad shows up 3 episodes in season two, and you're gonna be okay. But boy, oh boy, are you gonna be nervous and anxious about it until that happens.
Ooh. Oh my God. That speaks
I
to
love all of
me.
this. This is all. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
like no, like talk to me about these things. I would appreciate the solidarity in this solidarity in this trying time.
Oh, I got you completely. Literally the other
Mhm.
day on stream, I actually asked this because I was like, okay, y'all. So I've been identifying myself as gay this entire time. However, I'm not just attracted to men, I'm also attracted to people who are non binary. So, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm bisexual? Does that mean I'm pansexual? Turns out it's polysexual. So, polysexual is a term that I learned that means that basically you're attracted to not specific genders, but it's basically like out of like a traditional male or female or non-binary situation. If there were only to be like three choices, it's a subset of bisexual and pansexual in which you only are attracted to like two of those rather than like any of those, if you will. So for me, I was like, okay, so I wouldn't be interested in a cis woman. However, anyone who identifies as a cis male or in the non-binary spectrum would be someone that I would be attracted to. So for me, I found that to be really interesting, and I was like, well, damn. And on the other side, you have the gender identity, which is an ongoing journey where every day you're kind of like, wait, but what does this mean about me? But wait, because like of course because the two of you are tabletop RPG players, individuals, I thought about it like, what if I were to be what if I were to be a part of a campaign like that, what would my character be? And I could only think of like female characters, and I was like, what does that, and then I had like an existential crisis, like, what does that say about me? What does that, not in like a bad way, but it's like an anxiety kind of thing, like, wait, that thing I thought I had figured out, have I figured it out? What is going on? So I totally I totally understand. And then you ask those questions like, wait, but am I attached to this thing because of society expectations, or is it because I actually believe in those? And you start like overthinking it so much to the point where you're like, you know what? Let me just go to sleep and not think about it right now because I can't.
I can't even right now. We were talking about like labels and stuff in my stream last night. Like literally last night, a lot of folks were like, "So does that mean you're this? So does that mean you're
Right.
this? Does that mean?" Because I kept saying, and I kept, rather than giving a label, I kept being like, "Well, here's how I feel,
Mhm.
and here's how I, this is what I am. Like this is what my life is like. I don't know,
Right.
whatever."
Yeah.
And I specific, like for me, I think labels are great and handy for like a quick, like if you really need to just, not get into it. You're like, I
Right.
just need to not explain myself to you right now. So I'm gonna give you these handy dandy words that you will be appeased by. But I think it's never one like I think you are constantly, I think Sin, like you were saying, like questions, you should
Yeah.
always be questioning, you should always be asking. You're not a stagnant, you're not staying still, you are growing, you are evolving. It
Yeah.
doesn't, if your labels change, that's not a bad thing. If you're like, I feel comfy with this label, or I did, and now I actually like this one more, that's fine. If you like no labels, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, I can't express this to you, there are no labels out there right now that make me feel good and comfy. I am this statement, that's fine. If you're like, I don't know, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, we're literally out here trying to tell y'all to just turn on Steven Universe and be Garnet. I am an experience.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's it. That's as far as we get, because that's the other thing too. Someone said something. It's something that I remember. Okay, fun fact. Went to an entirely religious college for 5 years. And this is the first time that I remember thinking the thing that I'm about to tell you, although it really applies for where I am right now, which is this. Sometimes the answer is that you even ask the question in the first place.
Mm.
Hi,
Yeah.
I love that. Excuse me. Hi.
Because here's the thing, like wild to me, right? I always thought, hey, maybe this is just me because I'm so introspective about things. But like, y'all, there are people who never ask these questions about themselves. So if you're asking questions, sometimes the answer is the fact that you even took the time to ask them.
Yeah.
I
totally feel that because like for me, the thing that I usually settle on as far as like when I'm having these internal discussions with myself is that like the only thing that's certain is that I'm not a cis male because like I question that part of my life so much that I at least know what that is not a thing, right? So for me, I'm like, I'm a person, I'm a human being, so that totally
adorable
makes
human being.
oh but yeah, it's totally that's actually a great way of putting that. Like the fact that, and I've seen there's been people who due to lockdown, and it's almost like a year since the whole thing started, I've seen people figuring out stuff about their sexuality, about their gender identity, because it's so true. Like a lot of people do not ask that, like do not ask themselves that. They're just like, yeah, this is what society expects of me, and I actually never, took a second to, question that and to be like, is that actually how I feel? Is that actually how I want to live my life? And there's nothing wrong with that either. Like there's people who only find out about their gender identity in their like 40s, 50s, 60s. Like there's absolutely no like deadline or timeline in which you need to figure yourself out, quote unquote, because
Amen.
that's not a thing too. Because like, who knows? Like maybe in 10 years or 20 years from now, I'll be like, I just needed to express my femininity, and turns out I am a cis male. Who knows? Like, right? We never know. Yeah, totally. I just love talking about this. Like I feel like every other episode we end up talking about this because it's such a it's such an interesting topic to me. It's an ever-changing thing. So I love normalizing that for folks, because I wouldn't want people that are watching or listening to this to be in a situation that we all just literally described that we were in not that long ago, and for them to think that it's just them, or they're overthinking too much, or that other people don't go through that. And it's like, no, you'd be surprised.
You absolutely do.
You'd be surprised.
You know, Ruby, there's something you said earlier about playing tabletop games. About this.
I
I
think
want
y'all
to
have heard
like
of that, right? I think both of you have heard about
maybe.
tabletop RPGs.
Honestly, I know nothing about this, but it was something that someone said, which kind of had me over here like, oh no, oh wait, because I was thinking about characters that I typically play in role playing games whenever I do, and it was I like looking through the through lines for the kind of characters that I make. Almost every single one of them, except for like two people, ace. Every single one of them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the thing because you were mentioning like thinking about who you would be in a tabletop game. There are a lot of people, especially if you're a player who is on any part of the queer spectrum, where a lot of times people try to explore what that expression would look like by playing it in a game, seeing how that feels, and then going, okay, but do I want to be that character for real?
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. I know a ton of folks that have discussed like because we're talking about how in this whole global panda people
I love all the names that people do for
yeah, people have had a chance to like, take a second, stop, breathe, and internalize and be like, wait a second, I haven't thought about this before, and now I'm thinking about it. Like maybe this is even before that. I know a ton of folks in the tabletop space who have talked about how exploring things through characters has absolutely made them realize, whether it's like you said, Sim, like whether it's like that through line, like, oh wow, look at that, every one of my characters is like this, right? Or even just getting to explore in a safe space a different gender identity, a different kind of romance, whatever it is. And I think that's one of the great things. That's one of, oh my God. Anyway, about this tabletop thing you mentioned. I don't know what it is. I've never heard of it.
Into this though, because I mean, this is like absolutely like your thing, and I want you to tell me all the stories about these things.
For me, it's really funny that you say like you've never had a character. Well, that one of your through lines was finding like ace identity and stuff like that. I can't comprehend playing a straight character. I love role play. I love exploring things. Like I literally play games where I'm like, okay, what have I not done before? What's something I've never done? I want to explore something I could never imagine doing. One thing I cannot parse is straight. I can't do it. Listen, I could be like the greatest stage actor, and I cannot imagine understanding walking a stragat. I don't know it. Never can't comprehend. It's so far outside. I cannot wrap my head. So
yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, so I've definitely had characters that like, are exclusively lesbians, that are pan, that are bi, that are ace, that are like any number of things, but not straight. Sorry. I can't. It's so I don't know, maybe it's just an experience I don't want to have because it took me so long to understand, accept, and like be where I was. Because like we talked about labels, we talked about all that sort of stuff, and I grew up I don't know, I don't know whether and I was searching for them, so it's not like I wasn't looking, but like I definitely grew up in a time in a space where terms like pan weren't really accessible yet, like those sorts of things. So I definitely was one of those people that grew up at a very young age. Like I was like, most of my crushes are on like girls, but sometimes I don't mind boys. But it can't be one. It can't be both. It has to be one or the other. Which one is it? Oh. I don't understand. This is little Jess.
Yeah, like listen, and bless her because same.
Yeah. Which one is it? I have to choose. Why can't I choose one? Why? What? Huh? Sometimes, I like holding hands with this person, but also this person.
Aw.
And that one's cute. And, I'm going to smooch that person someday, but I don't know what that means. Maybe I can hold hands with this person and we can all hold hands?
How scandalous.
What does that mean?
Okay, so that last thing you just said just attacked me again. Like rolled like a nat 20. Like, listen, someone sent me a link that said relationship anarchy. This is what they sent me. I opened the web page and I read one paragraph and immediately closed the tab. I was like, I can't do this today. Can't unpack it. Will not. Do not want to.
Oh my god.
I need people that be so like I feel you and I see you in that moment of being like, for me that moment didn't happen till my late 20s, early 30s. And in that time, sitting there talking to my mom, so have you met a girl that you like? No. Have you thought about dating guys? Question mark. Yes. Immediate panic.
Oh
And I'm just
no.
like, I don't know. Like, immediate panic for her. And I'm just like, I don't know why. Like, you know the kind of child that I am. Why would you expect me to lie to you? I'm not going to do that, for one. But also, for two, if I like people, like, and, again, this is the call is coming from in the house moment. If I like people, I like them. I don't think I would let, like, the gender that someone has determine whether or not I can love them or be in a relationship with them romantically. And it's just like, the call is coming from inside the house and it has the Power Rangers ringtone and it is set at max volume. Just answer the phone, Sid. Come in the house and answer the phone.
Oh no. Oh my god.
There are people out there that think it's weird. I don't know. I don't get this. This is once again me trying to wrap my head. Listen, like I said, I play so many different people, so many different characters. I like to try and wrap my head around things I can't comprehend. There are people out there that are like, oh, it's weird that you don't need to look inside someone's pants to decide you like them. And I'm like, how is it weird that I don't need to look inside someone's pants? If I like a person, I like a person. It's the person I like.
Equally odd to parse is you mean you literally looked at someone and immediately thought I would like to have sexy time with these people? Did you ask them a question? Do you even know who these people are? What do you even mean? Just kind of like, but they're attractive. Well, I mean, yes, they are very attractive. I can see that. But also, I'm thirsty and I would like to go get a drink from the bar. Like, you're not going to say anything? Why? I don't know them.
Right.
And they're just like, why are you like this? And then, like, me looking around, like, me 5 years ago was looking around and having everybody be like, yeah, that person has a point. Like, you should be able to look at people and immediately feel things. And me, now 5 years in the future, has a whole bunch of people around me looking at this and going, no, actually, saying you have a point. Go get your drink from the bar. This person's being a weirdo.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think it's just some people can't wrap them, some people can't think outside of that. I think for some people, a lot of their relationships kind of start as that person is cute, but it's also, for me, it's so reductive to just think about that, because of course that's for if you're into a relationship that does include sexy times, of course that's going to be an aspect of it, right? But it's what if they're an asshole? What if they're rude to their waiters? And what if they they don't tip their their waiter or whomever? Just stuff like that. It's and sometimes even in the gay community, I remember having a very interesting conversation, because I remember saying oh, the term homosexual is kind of outdated, because the term homosexual kind of stems from someone who has the same sex like sexual parts as you, and someone can identify as male and not have the same sex parts that you do. So what does that mean? And I've had some cis gays just straight up be like, oh, I wouldn't date them then. And it's like, like you reduce all of your, like, you reduce an experience of dating someone only through the sexy times. And it's also like, it's just, I agree with y'all. It's I think it's a weird like mindset. I feel like sometimes the straights TM kind of think like that too. It's like, and they justify it on like, oh, it's our instincts of like, you know, parenting instincts of like, oh, I need to find someone who's gonna be the bearer of my child. But it's like, I don't know about that. I don't know.
Once again, for the audio podcast listeners, Sin has disappeared underneath the table.
Sin has chosen to not be perceived on this day.
No, y'all, not this.
It's just the mental gymnastics that people will do to like justify, like, just say that you're shallow.
And some of it is that, but it's also like, I spent a lot of time, and this is something, okay. So this is probably one of the very few times I'm going to say that TikTok was not entirely a mistake. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm watching this TikTok where this like older gentleman is listening to this teenage kid talk about their experiences with finding out that they are part of the queer spectrum. And one of the things that they were nodding to was just how much language and access this child had to terms that allow them to express themselves. And like how that has just changed so much with time, and how happy they were to be able to see TikToks like this where kids could have these conversations. But the kid in question said something that like still is messing me up, which is there were all of these spaces where even when I understood what was going on or how people were feeling, I was always more the exception than the rule. So it's being in these places where people are talking about romance things, and you offer this perspective where people are just like, that's really cool, but also you're an alien. I don't understand how you arrived there. And a lot of things for me have been looking at people feeling and expressing things and going, like, I see where you are coming from, and I understand there is a significant amount of people that function in that manner. I do not know how to process this. Like, I cannot do it. It is not a thing. Like just playing straight characters in tabletop games. Like, just what do you mean? I don't. How do you do that?
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be hard because it's also kind of like the speed at which people want to just go, well, I mean, here's a label that we want to give you because you don't process things in the way that we do, or because you don't function in the same way. It's kind of like, one, I only take applications on Monday from 9 to 4. Two, unless you have the permission, which I have not given you, to apply those labels to me, I will not be receiving them at this time. Thank you very much.
Right.
If you have any other questions, please talk to my travel agent.
Right. People are too quick
That's
to
Ruby,
label
by the way,
others.
just so y'all know.
Yes, message me. I'll forward them to Sin. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, people are quick to either dismiss other people's experiences, or to just fully just hear a couple sentences and be like, oh, you're this thing. You're welcome. Bye. And it's like, we can have like deep conversations about that. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, it's if you describe your experience as this, then you can't possibly also be that, right? And it's like, no, that's not really, like, we're humans. Like,
nuance.
Yeah, exactly. Things are nuanced, and labels, like Jess said earlier, can be helpful if you're like figuring yourself out and you're like, okay, I'm comfortable with this thing, but it's not for others to impose that on you. You know? Like, you can think to yourself, like, oh, I think this person is leaning towards this label, but you don't tell them. Like, you let them figure it out, and then you can be also surprised. Or you can you know, if you see that their identity is lining up with your quote unquote expectation, then you can just help them and guide them along. You know what I mean? But don't just be like, oh no, you're just insert
You're
identity here. Bye. Thanks.
Did you know? Here, I have this big heavy thing for you to carry now that you did not ask for. Here it is. Whomp. Just like drop thing in lap. No, thank you. Like, yeah, no, I don't know. Like I said, I think nuance is very much a real and true thing. I think labels can be handy and helpful, and if if they help you, then great. If they don't, then that's valid. Like, and like you said, like, can't just go around labeling other people, be like, oh, you're like this then. Oh, you're this thing. Here you go. And like, it's so funny to me. Like, I'll always bring it back to actually just my diet, because like, I don't really eat meat, but sometimes I eat seafood, and I always say it that way. I say I don't really eat meat, but sometimes I eat seafood, and people are like, bam, you're a pescatarian. That's what you are. And I'm like, maybe, but I didn't say that. So I told you the words that described what I do. That is what I do. And you didn't need to be so excited to slap a label on it. You didn't need to get so hyped up to be like...
Literal Christopher Columbus trying to act like they discovered something. I need them to not.
And it's also like, God forbid, like, you feel like eating like meat at some point, then they're like, wait, but I thought you were a pescatarian. You're like, no, I said I don't really eat meat, but you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. I remember there was like a period of time on YouTube where people did that for like people who labeled themselves as vegan on YouTube, and they're like, wait, you're thinking about eating eggs? You're not a real vegan. It's like, but maybe they just need it because of health reasons. Like, maybe there's like they don't have access to like any substitutes in their like area and stuff like that, or they can't afford it. Like, people need to not. You
don't know. Yeah, you don't know that person's life. You don't know their journey. You don't know if that was a one-off thing or a continued thing. You don't know they were trying it, if they liked it, if they don't like it. You don't know. You don't know. Don't go out there so excited to label and or shame them. I don't even know, but like
the other thing too, people never... Okay, so it's one thing when I'm like, I would like a label to kind of understand things, because maybe from an interaction perspective, I would like to know if things are important. For example, a really easy example to use, pronouns. If you tell me that your pronouns are they, them, or include they, I'm probably going to be like, you know something? Gender language, probably want to keep that on like 3 out of 10, right? Like, just as a rule around this person, because obviously that is a thing here, right? It's a wonderful thing in those cases. But a lot of times when you see people applying labels, it's just and I have a label so I can shame you for something. Like, I literally just said that, like you were just saying, hey, I mostly don't eat meat, but I eat seafood sometimes. You're a pescatarian. Okay, well, today I'm in the mood for a burger. How dare you? This is like,
right.
Really? I didn't even tell you I was a pescatarian, but you literally gave me a label so that you could come back here and say some nonsense that, quite honestly, is harshing my mellow. I need you to get up out of my mentions.
Right.
I'm just trying to live my life. Why are you so...
Yes. Oh my... Yes.
Out here, like, pressed and creased like so many paninis and dry cleaning for no reason.
My favorite, and when I say favorite, I mean it with the utmost sarcasm, is when people say stuff like, her pronouns are they, them. No, their pronouns are they, them. Like,
for audio listeners, I am walking away from the camera because this is awful.
It's just like, it's the lack of like brain cell for me, where it's like, you can just like, when, for example, me and Jess have, one of our pronouns is he, and in Jess's case, she, but we also have they in our pronouns. So I would assume that people see our labels like that and they wouldn't use heavily gendered language around us, right? Or at least they read the room and see if other people use certain gendered like terms to us and see our reactions to those, right? But it's often people who, I'm just gonna say the cis gays. It's so easy to say it. It's the cis gays who just are like, I'm just a part of the LGBTQIA2 plus community, and it's such a wonderful community to be a part of. And then they are like, hey, handsome, and I'm like, no. No, 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 no. That's not how that works around here. No. And it's like, it's the lack of empathy a lot of the times, or it's the lack of like, someone says that they're bi, and some people out there are like, again, some cis gays out there, they're like, oh, I also thought I was bi at some point. You'll get there someday. And it's like, no. People are different. People are different.
You'll get there someday. Oh my.
Oh
it's
yes.
them deciding your journey for you. For me.
Yeah. I've heard cis
I didn't know
gays
that you
say
signed up
stuff
to be my GPS today.
Oh yeah.
I've heard cis gays say stuff like they say that they're bi or something like that, or they said that they were pan. It's like no, just say like, and if you call them out, they're like, oh, I mean that's what they said. I'm just saying that they said. I'm like, no, the way that you're saying it implies that like you could have just said that they're bi or that they're pan, but you chose to say it in a way that implies that it's just something that they said. It's just something that they mentioned, but you're not sure. But you know, they said it. You know.
Yeah, that's right up there with this person prefers the following pronouns. If I wrote on your form that my pronouns are he, him, she, her, they, them, or any combination of the above or neither, that is with a period at the end of that sentence. That's not a question mark. That wasn't an ellipsis, okay?
Right. It's not like a preference. It's a statement. Yeah, the preferred pronouns situation for me is also like, and I understand that language evolves through time, but it's also like, Google is free. There's so many wonderful resources, and like, sometimes it bothers me when I happen to be in like queer spaces or my queer space, like with my stream or something like that, and people come in from, I just assume someone is like walking through the door and they're like, hey, everybody here, do you know a thing, or do you know where I can find this thing? And it's like, so instead of you going over there to Miss Google, to Google headquarters, you decide to go to my stream and ask me to go to Google and then tell you. And like, I understand that sometimes people are like, okay, I want to hear like maybe an article that you recommend, right? Because there's so many articles out there. Maybe there's some that don't have the best verbiage or whatever it might be. But even then, it's easier if you just bring me like 2 or 3 articles and you're like, hey, I was doing some research. Like, if I was to recommend an article to someone out of these, what would you think would be the best one, kind of thing? And I would be like, okay, maybe this one, or maybe all of them, like, who knows? But it's just the people who kind of just expect, and this applies to like, oh, don't get me started with Twitter. Like, when people come into Twitter and they're like, I'm looking for queer streamers, like, tell me about your favorite queer streamers. You're not going to click on the hundreds of replies that tweet is going to get. You're not. I know that because I've gotten mentioned in some of those threads, and guess who I didn't get a follow from? The person who made the thread. Or guess who never checked me out? Like, there's an LGBTQIA plus tag. Did you know that? Did you know that there's a website in which you can click on and there's hashtags and you can just click on, like, like, I want to find gamers. I want to find queer gamers on Twitch. And it's like, there's a tag you can click on and you can just take 10 minutes to see it, but you prefer to get the engagement on your tweet and not do the work, and then claim that you're doing the work, and it's always like the same people doing it like every other week. And it's like sometimes I tell a friend like, I hope nobody dares to tag me in there.
You know, something that makes me especially spicy about that particular thing is that this is what my timeline looks like. Someone asking that question, and then right after that, like 3 people who are just like, we're doing this with queer streamers. We're doing this with queer streamers. I, also a queer streamer, am doing things as a collab with other queer streamers. And I'm just like, let me get this straight. You don't know that any of the 15 people in my mentions just above this point even exist. What? You know, like these people aren't invisible. They're not hiding from you. They're not in a corner. They are loud. They're in like your regular articles. They're featured on multiple websites, multiple publications, multiple magazines, multiple YouTube channels, and everything else. And y'all just it really could have just been the search bar on your Twitter account is at the top right of the screen. Like it just could have clicked it and said, I am looking for this. Not even Google. The search bar on Twitter would have taken you to whatever information you wanted to know, and you did not do it. Why?
Right. Like go through the likes of people that you enjoy and see, or like go through whoever they're following. It's so easy. And also like if we're gonna get into
see, do we want to get into that tea though? Because right there it'll be things like I would say, hey, does anyone that I follow or any of my mutuals have this, but they don't follow these people either. And it's one of those, maybe you should look at your friends list that you're curating and wonder why all of them look exactly like you and only have your experiences, and not one person is different from any of that. Like if you ask me about Black people, and then I look at your follower list of 5,000 people, and every single one of them look like an untoasted Uncrustable, I'm going to ask you why.
Right.
That's it. That's all I have to say about it.
But then they're looking now. They're not gonna. They finally realized, but then also probably not gonna change anything. But they asked.
They asked, and they have a thread that they can go to and consider. But
they thought about it, so they need their cookies. They need
their fellow cis white counterparts to recommend them the BIPOC and LGBTQIA folks that they approve of. You see? And that's where it pisses me off.
But
I made one of those threads last year, but I can't find it. So if you wouldn't mind just making a new recommendation for me, that would be wonderful.
Right. Especially if there are people in the industry. It's like there's so many teams literally making your job easy with like the names of the teams, and it's like, oh, you want insert group of people here. Oh, there's a team like literally dedicated to that. Oh, here's another team dedicated to that. Oh, here's plenty of shows that do that. Here's plenty of streamers that do that. And it's like, how do you just not see any of that on your timeline? You're either just like pretending that you're like, oh my god, I don't see anything, like I need recommendations, or you're just literally like, I don't understand. I don't
You're
understand.
Either doing it for the cookies at that point, which you don't intend to like freaking do anything about it. You're just out here like I asked, I did my work. You are willfully ignorant. You are curating your feed to be yourself and yourself alone. You really like the sound of your own voice so much that you only want that and others that sound like that. And like,
yep.
Speak on it, Jess. Speak on it, though.
And then they do all of that. And then you see the same people getting opportunities. And then they make it so that you can't at them and be like, oh, you didn't have any insert group of people here, because they do, but it's always like the same ones. It's like their faves. kind of thing. And it's like, oh, interesting. So yeah, okay, that's an interesting thing that you did there. Or like it's a friend of a friend, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, so I get it. So like it was not just only me who got recommended to you, yet you choose to go with the people who have the most followers out of that, or you choose to go with the people that are always there, and it's ugh.
Yeah,
Then
but that person didn't have, that person didn't have the experience, or they didn't have the platform, or they didn't have the cut it. I don't care. You know why they haven't had that chance yet? Because you aren't giving it to
Right.
them. So maybe if you make the space, maybe if you like give the opportunities to other folks, then they'd be in the spaces already. But they're not. So do the work. Put in the effort. Make it happen.
you know what is hilarious about this, though, is that if either of you were to go and retweet all of this, the exact same audience of people would be like, RT, because this is so true. We need to be making more opportunities for people.
And then
Have you ever looked at some things and like, I know that you didn't hit the retweet and or like button on this. I know you didn't.
It's the same energy of like people who do stuff like, oh, you're so amazing, or like, oh, we need to support people like this and like that and like that. And then it's like, I do my show every week and I never see you here in different days, different times, all of that. And even sometimes in like certain like communities and certain spaces and stuff like that, you only see certain people hanging around with certain people, and it's not that hard for you to discern what type of people I'm talking about. And to the point where it's like there's genuine support in some parts, but there's people who genuinely will like retweet your stuff but never show up for it unless you're doing particularly well, which is when it kind of like, I notice it. I will not say it out loud. I will not call you out. But I look at my viewer list. I look at my chat, and it's mighty interesting that I only see certain people whenever my numbers are above a certain number. And it's like, oh, so you want to claim that you support me when I'm doing well, so it looks nice for you. But when I'm not doing so well according to you, you cannot perceive me suddenly. And that's
It's like,
and that's when it's
rendered
interesting.
transparent.
Listen,
Oh, no, not this.
that's what we do here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then like, I don't know. There's also just the one of like, well, not making room, not making like those folks, not making room, not making space, making their spaces all just like them, look identical like them. And then they're like, why don't you come into my space? It's not safe.
Right.
It's not safe for me. Like, I'm not safe in your space. And until you do the work to make that space safe, until you do the work, until you do something other than like flap your gums and actually do the work and not just like pat yourself on the back, that's not doing work. That's until you do something, then it's not going to get better. So like, yeah, go support other folks, go see what they're doing, and then the labor. It's the emotional labor requests for me.
Right. Yeah, it's just like people labeling themselves also as like a safe space, and then you click on their stream and there's nothing in their rules that says anything about homophobia, transphobia, racism, any of the sort.
Or that they don't have rules at all.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, how is this a safe space for me and anyone like me? Yeah, it's anyway, I don't even know how we got here. But it's fine. It's fine. It's okay. It's wonderful. It's
the magic of talking to you, honestly.
Oh. it's the magic of not following a through line at all and just talking about whatever happens in your brain. And when next thing you know, you're like, what were we talking about again? Which makes things so much harder for me whenever I go to upload this on YouTube and all the services. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to title this?
I do want to say though, like these things here, like these conversations and having people to share that space with who can either like just go, we see you and we understand, and or commiserate, like, oh my God, yes, though, has been such a wonderful and healing thing for me. So I appreciate like both of you for like
Aw,
making this a thing.
I
Oh,
appreciate
and like
you.
we would also like to get into more nonsense and shenanigans because I feel like we could talk about these things and some extras for a minute.
Yes. Yes, we can. I'm just looking at the time and I'm like, oop, it's already been an hour and a half.
Right?
That's when you know it's a good show, though. Like when you look at the time and you're like, oh, wow, it's been that long. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. I appreciate how good and easy it was to like, and it was just flow. Like the fact that you said, how did we get here? Because we just we just went naturally. We
Yeah.
just floated down the river.
Right? Oh my goodness. I would love though before we wrap up, I would love for y'all to self-promote, talk about the projects that you're working on, things that people can expect from you. We can start with Sin this time, and then we go down the line.
Okay. So, hi, I'm your resident person in the dragon costume, also known as Synxiec. The place you can find me here on Twitch most Mondays and Tuesdays at around 8, but also coming up here soon, I'm going to be hanging out with the Roll20 folks next Tuesday. So that's exciting. And I'm also going to be hanging out with Wesselhausen and playing Scion, which I am on my third session of and very much enjoying. I get to find out who my divine parents are tomorrow. I'm kind of nervous.
Ooh, drama.
And then also this Sunday, I'm going to be playing with Eldritch Crow and company as we continue playtesting a game called Ether, where I am walking around with a magical fan.
Okay,
Because of course I
sold.
am.
I'm sold. Of course. It's required. What else would you expect? I mean,
I mean, it's official. It's official, and the fan does in fact say shade on it. But that's all from me.
ooh, I love that. Yes, and please go follow Sin's socials as well. That's when he's gonna upload like all the things so you can be updated. Because I don't know when y'all are watching or listening to this. Who knows when? So just check out his socials, and you'll be on the know. What about you, Jess? Promote all the things. I know you have something today, actually.
Yeah. Yep. And and I'm gonna shout out Sin's thing too. You can find me at go_G in most of the places online. Go_JG. Unless they wouldn't let me have that, and then it's Go Jess, because spoiler alert, my username is literally just my initials. It's like Go Jess. It's literally just a self cheer.
I love that.
You know, sometimes you need to motivate yourself right in your username.
Absolutely.
So-
Not enough people do it, to be honest.
So yeah, you can find me over on my Twitch channel doing a wide variety of video games and tabletop role-playing games. If you really want to see some odd little niche stuff, I do write some TTRPGs you can find over on itch.io. And especially today, I am a producer for the show Indie Showcase over on Roll20. Today we are playing Humblewood, and just spoiler alert, I co-produce with the wonderful amazing B Zelda, and they are hosting next week, and you might see Sin on the next episode. So just listen, we're getting like all the love out there, all the Rainbow Arcade folks, and just in general, hey, Rainbow Arcade, awesome team full of awesome folks, and I'm so happy, like all the things we talked about today, finding that space and, you know, finding others in it, and like, oh my God, the Rainbow Arcade has been so amazing for that, and I'm really, really glad to have gotten to chat with all of you, and like,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Excuse me. I've heard of the Rainbow Arcade. They're all right.
I guess.
I guess, it's they're a fine group of people. I may be biased, but you can find my content at Project Ruby mostly everywhere. Instagram and TikTok is the Project Ruby. I'm still figuring out TikTok. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't have the spoons to edit stuff all the time for TikTok, but I'll figure it out. But I also stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 4 p.m. GMT time. And I do a variety of things. My current rotation is Final Fantasy VII Remake, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, my first ever Legend of Zelda playthrough. And on Fridays, I am suffering through Tomb Raider 3, The Adventures of Lara Croft. And oh boy, 90s video games are such a wondrous and fantastic experience. But yes, thank you everybody for watching and listening. Listen, one of these days, maybe we'll do a special Project Ruby stream, and maybe these two wonderful folks will introduce me into the world of tabletop RPGs. Listen.
We chatted so much and we didn't even
I know.
Listen, there's so much to talk about.
I know.
It's true.
Yeah. So, listen, the door is always open. Breakfast at Ruby's is always open for y'all. So, we'll for sure figure something out either for charity or whatever it is, because I really want to get into tabletop RPGs, but I just never
you
know
tell me a theme, I will find you something. You just need to give me a general idea of what you like. There are innumerable tabletop games out there.
Listen, so many.
Yeah.
So many, though. We got you covered. Whatever experience you want to have.
Like if you even mention Magical Girls, I can bring you up a dozen games. Like boom, like that. Like
the way in which you just read my mind. Hello? What's going on?
Yeah, I know. Ruby, I've thought about it.
Like, excuse you? I may have Sailor Moon stuff on my background, but I don't know where you would have thought of that.
Just saying.
But yes, absolutely. But yeah, please go support these two wonderful beans. I am so thankful and appreciative that they took time off of their busy schedules to be on the podcast. Once again, stay safe, everybody. Next week, I have actually another Rainbow Arcade member joining us, Chili Farmer, alongside a Radically Kind Gamers member, the Julian Cito. So excited. Wonderful conversations with wonderful people. Yeah. Alrighty, stay safe, stay beautiful, and I'll chat with y'all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.